Shit, it's crazy work, bro.
All right, hey you guys, welcome to Them Parts. I'm Nicole, and we have our co-host NoFace. What's up, NoFace?
Hey, how you doing, Nico? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. Every time. Hey, you are the voice of the streets. That's what I'm gonna call you. You the voice of the
Damn, I'm not even a street dude like that, but I'll take it.
voice of the streets for the men. All right, you're talking about street women a lot of time, not
It
prostitutes.
sounds like it, huh?
It do. It kind of do. Um, Let me welcome Unique. What's up, Unique?
How you do? How you do?
Good. Thank you for joining us.
Of course.
Appreciate it. Love your always love your opinions and your little digs at no face. That always
Oh yeah, that's
makes
good to hear.
livens up the conversation. And we have a special guest, E. Welcome back, E. Thanks for joining us again. Can you hear us?
All
Wait,
right.
he is muted. Hold on. All right, can you hear us now, E?
Yeah, I'm
That's all
here.
right.
I'm here.
Oh, here we
Sorry.
go.
Oh, what's up, E? Thanks for joining us again. I wanted to welcome you back.
Thank you.
We are going to kind of dive into the comments on our last video, are women being weaponized against men. So let me pull up a screenshot of the comments.
Hey, and this is a iconic moment for us because we never had the opportunity to respond to comments. So we're getting a little bit of emotion, and so I'm happy about that. And I'm proud of you, Nico.
Thank you. I'm proud of us. You are correct. This is an iconic moment. I was so excited to see that we had some comments and people are engaging and
Yeah,
views are going up and more subscribers. I'm really loving it and I'm loving the conversation though. It just started as wanting to talk, you know,
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
wanting to talk about stuff. So
And I'm
let's
not.
look at this first comment. The guys might like this.
Uh-oh.
um, this is what? Can you see the screen? You see the comment?
Yeah. Shout him out. Shout him out.
All right. Hopefully. Oh, you're right. So this is at Reverend Omen, and he wrote at them parts. This is why I advise men to just keep their worries and frustrations to themselves, or just talk to other men because women will find a way to make the situation about how they feel. Reverend Omen went
Come
in.
on, Reb.
Why you doing that?
Come on, Reb.
Okay,
Reverend
first of all,
God.
Omen went in.
I'm
Anybody put
offended that you're laughing over the comment, trivializing, undermining his comment. I think it was very astute. I think it was well said, and I think he was dead on with what he was saying. I appreciate it, Rev.
that?
Yeah.
I think
I was
that as
laughing. You
well.
talking about me?
Yeah, you laughed over the comment. No laughing over the. We want to hear the comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't
Hmm.
realize that. I apologize. I thought I laughed
Yeah,
after.
you're too caught up. You're too caught up in being a hater
Oh my
and being.
gosh. Okay, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's
Did you
crazy.
guys
That's
resonate
ridiculous.
with the comments?
Oh yeah,
Um,
of course. No, no, that's exactly how I felt. That's exactly how I felt afterwards. I felt like I'm talking to a tree stump, and I'm like I'm going against what I've said when I said that women don't really care about men and their feelings, and they don't really see us as real people, and that's
yes.
exactly. Oh my goodness, that's exactly how I felt. That's
Well,
exactly how I felt when I was having when I was like expressing myself in those moments. It's like, yeah, well, shit, man. Why
Well,
would I?
your feelings, you felt like they didn't matter as much as the woman's did.
Yeah, and they were just like
Yeah.
they were just looking like I oftentimes refer to women as like the police when they say anything and everything can and will be used against you. Like they're just looking for something to. They're looking for me to
We don't
and
even have to look. You just give it to us.
no, that's
oh,
not true. That's not true.
oh,
But they're looking for the moment where I incriminate myself, and if I don't, then they'll just make one up. So it's
but
like
that's
saying,
not
oh
fair, no face. I told you I like to play God's advocate and kind of throw out the other side. I do that with everybody. So that's not fair to say that we're just we're just speaking for the woman. We're
Well,
not.
for example, and I think that that's what Rev was alluding to was when I was talking about the crazy shit that the girl was doing.
Mhm.
And then the oracle mentioned that, well, you said you pushed her off of you, and I never even said that. So I didn't give you anything, but she made it. She just created something. And then when I giggled about when the police officer, I think I think I said something close to low key bodied her, which I didn't say he body slammed her, but she thought that she forgot that there's actually men in this world that can defend themselves against you, and he showed her the difference between my power and his power, and then I giggled a little bit, and then you try to make me out to be a bad guy for that. It's like, man, I'm telling you a story about a crazy lady doing crazy work, and then you guys are just
But
dissecting little
this
nuances.
But this is the kind of the problem. Some of these little nuances you have maybe haven't reflected on, and it's not that we're just trying to pick on you. We're just pointing out things. You can ask Unique. Unique,
I
I'm
wouldn't, but go ahead.
well, I don't mean ask her that. I mean ask her, am I one that just holds men accountable or women too? Because I've told many times, Unique, maybe you need to think about how you handle that or look at that from their perspective. How
Yeah,
many times do we
Cole
go
actually
through that?
has a favor toward men because she did have a father and she has a bunch of brothers. So she doesn't even have anything like negative. She doesn't even
Yeah,
have.
this is all nice and dandy that you guys are
I
saying
know,
these
but
things,
we're
but
not
what you
trying
have
to
shown me, you have not shown me.
we're not trying to pick on you though. You feel
You
me?
have not shown me one time you said you've no one example of you doing that when Unique makes her crazy takes
Well, I
on
can't.
the show.
I'm
I
here to
just
do it.
the
I'm
thing
not
about it is
do it
the
here.
more you talk no face, the more I see why women react to you the way they do. I mean, your feelings, you are on 10. You are animated, you are just going.
Oh,
You are so intense. You
But
I
I'm
mean you
also making, but I also make sense though, and I
no
align with reality and logic
mm,
and actuality.
that type of
mm,
energy is just crazy.
mm, mm. What? What? Who
No,
said you
okay.
didn't agree with No Face? So Gina says it's interesting that that's the takeaway when I agree with No Face. Can you guys tell me what
You're all
she's
good.
referring
Of
to? I've
course.
forgotten.
No. Okay, I'll respond to that directly. That wasn't my only takeaway, but I did take notice in that. So I understand that. I understand that that the Oracle is pretty fair for the most part, but that was an example of that was an
Pointing out
example of
things.
why I shouldn't. Why that was an example that supports what the commenter the Reverend, I can't remember his full name, but the commenter said, because it's like
Brother Omen.
yeah, yeah, that gentleman, which we appreciate. It's like I'm being my words are being nitpicked, but
I
that
know,
wasn't the
and
only thing that I got out of what Gina said. It was just one thing that I used in reference to the response to his comment.
right. And I know it sounds unfair, but I mean, it's almost like a person that can't take constructive criticism. It's like
No, it's not though.
people can tell me if I had some issues in my relationship and I go to somebody and they like, well, Nicole, maybe you shouldn't have said that, or maybe you shouldn't have did this like that, or maybe you shouldn't have said this like that. Then if I come back at them, well, oh, you just gonna get at me with about what I said. What about all the stuff I told you that they did? I
Yeah,
mean,
but you know what I'm saying? You have to, but here's the kicker is that I didn't
yeah,
tell you anything that that was refutable. And when I say that I didn't do anything, I'm not
that's
saying that I never did anything wrong, but I didn't give you any
that's
information. I didn't give you any information that would make you think that there's something that I need to be held accountable for. So why are you saying that I needed to be held accountable?
well because it was you were in the situation. That's why. And because you just said everything that what you just said kind of makes my point. You were trying to lay it up to make yourself look unaccountable when there's two sides to every story. I'm sure if she told her side, her layup would make her sound like she did nothing wrong. And I
I'm
Right.
have to come
gonna
at
be
her
truthful. I'm gonna be
with,
truthful.
well, I'm sure, he didn't just do this for no reason. He didn't just do that for no reason. I'm sure he didn't ain't the only problem. I'd have to say the same thing to her because it don't make sense the altercation, which is what it turned out to be, went haywire and nobody is accountable. That's crazy. That's all I'm saying.
Well, somebody was accountable that day because somebody went to jail. Okay, so if a woman goes to jail, that should tell you a lot.
Like when he went to jail, and he's the one who was defending himself, and he's the one who called the police. So the wrong person went to jail that day. So we know that the wrong person goes to jail sometimes. So
But
you're
it's
not
never the girl. The girl is never the wrong person that goes to jail when she goes to jail.
that
That's the
happens.
difference.
Yeah, you
I
don't
don't think
see
that's
that
true.
girl, but I have. The
No,
girl
that's never happened.
puts her
I
hand.
mean,
Not in your experience, but I'm sure it has happened.
Thank you,
it,
E.
it's way too anomalous for us to acknowledge this as a possibility.
The part of the problem with the system that you talk about that
Excuse me, I have a question.
yes.
Oh, sorry, not y'all. My bad.
Jesus, E,
Well,
eat your shit when you come on, dog.
part of the problem that I have, No Face, with you saying that she or women use the system to their advantage against the man and it destroys the family, it's that system was created for a reason. Do you
What
know
was
that?
that reason?
What was the reason?
Because
Yeah.
the men had the power. They were beating their wives.
No, that's not why. That's why. See. I'm sorry. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you know. Oh, so now you know the reason. You asked me for the reason. You didn't let me finish the reason, but I guess you know
At
the reason.
least let her finish, Amir. I mean, no
Well, yeah.
face. Sorry,
Well,
my
I can
bad.
I can pretty much finish it for you at this point, But go ahead.
But no, no, no. You can finish it for me. Go ahead.
Well, the reason why I asked you why is the reason to see what you were insinuating, and if you were trying to throw me a oop or were you trying to give me a lesson in history? But you were trying to give me a lesson in history,
Okay.
so yeah, that's why I reacted that way. But the reason was for it to do exactly what it did do to artificially transfer the power from the what was intrinsically the man's to the woman's to create an imbalance and a disorder in the household
Uh-huh.
that would imminently result in the destruction of the nuclear family, and that's exactly what it did.
Well, I think that's the outcome, but I think it started from men having the power, the money, the everything, doing having their way. There were a lot of good men that just took care of their families and was happy to be the man of the house and wasn't beating their women and wasn't running around. There were men that did that, but then there were some men that took it to the extreme and abused their wives. That's kind of like the movie The Burning Bed was based off of that because women started taking stuff into their own hands.
Who made that movie? Was it a white man, or was it a Jewish man,
I don't
or
know.
was it a woman that was trying to get her message out there?
We can more than likely say it was a Jewish man. I mean, all of this stuff is messages. All of the movies, the TV, the commercials, everything we see is messages thrown out there. That's what I'm saying. Even what you're saying is a message thrown out there, and it's so blanketed, like there's no room for anything decent in that. And I'm just saying that that's not true. There is some decency.
The system,
Dating
when the system does something, it's never for the interest of the people. It's in their interest. It's in the interest of the elites, and it's to better position them to be able to control and dominate and maintain the power that they have.
Well,
So
yeah,
it's
if they
never
take the
it's
man
never
out of the
to
household, then of course it's gonna be easier to control what
yeah.
happens. You know.
But
okay,
It's
so
easy
now
picking.
they know
take
their
him out or did
plan.
he leave? Did they take him out or did he leave? Was he already gone already?
No,
Yeah,
he wasn't gone.
he was gone.
Well,
He was
in
gone.
my
Because
case, no.
if you look at the marriage rates when welfare was introduced in 1964, you would see that 90%. Oh, I'm throwing this number out there. It's probably not, but it was closer to 90% of black women were married. So so it wasn't. They didn't just leave because of because they made a
Married
choice to.
men leave too. What are you talking about? 90% of black women were married. Hella married men leave. Seen a movie about that?
Fuck the movies.
No, I was
Well, that's
literally
why
being
that's why they
joking.
coined the phrase "Papa was a Rolling Stone." Wherever he lived, his Papa was a
Mm.
stone.
But the
No,
Stones,
they were talking about the Papa that was a Rolling Stone, but
well,
it wasn't that Papas
talking
are
about
Rolling Stones.
the woman that's the wildebeest, not all women. So why is it not the same
I'm
way?
saying there's always going to be those Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones are usually guys that usually guys that
Options.
It's
yeah
not the
no, but
majority, is what he's trying to say.
it's really the guy that travels for work, really, and he has a it's really like well I don't know if this is what it is about, but when I think of a Rolling Stone, I think of a musician or somebody who travels and makes good
Yeah,
money on the
but Mick
road.
Jagger, the actual Rolling Stone. We're not
Yeah,
talking about that. We're talking
yeah,
about
well, yeah. So maybe I'm off
his.
base with that, but the Rolling Stone is the guy that's always on the move, and he can't really be in one place at one time, and he usually has multiple families across the country and shit like that because for whatever reason. But yeah, and it has an adverse effect on the children, and that's where the term "Daddy was a Rolling Stone" comes from. The hurt children that says that grew up and. But I could be off on that. That's how I
No,
view
that
that
seems
phrase.
General meeting.
Not that Papa was a Rolling Stone comes from the intrinsic nature of men just fucking being in the breeze and always being somewhere else where they're not supposed to be.
should we get to the next comment?
Let's get to the next comment. I agree.
Thanks for the stamp. Thanks
All
for the
right, so
stamp.
this is from at Art G Target. If that's how you pronounce that. He says, if women learn to follow, men will lead.
Facts.
I was just about to say that sounds like NoFace's point. If women learn to follow, men will lead. So y'all want to hear my responses to him? I said, thanks for the comment, but I think it's the other way around. If men learn to lead, women will follow. Then I said, women are looking for something to follow all the time. Just look at all the churches full of women.
Right. Well, because women already have something to follow, and then they're not.
Right.
So the church is a perfect example. If a man came into a woman's life who's a churchgoer and is already committed to that, she'll never choose that over the man. So she already has her allegiance to something. So it's not like a man learning to lead would then be able to get her as will be able to gain her as a
Well,
follower.
I have a comment. I'd like to say that a lot of the time that um there's a problem with you could use your authority in the correct way, but still just have someone who's not submitting to that authority, and then that authority doesn't mean anything anymore.
True.
Right.
That's the truth.
And then you'll roll and stone your ass up out of there and then be labeled a bad guy.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
So
Any
yeah,
more
I
comments
believe
on
that.
that comment?
Huh?
Any more comments on that comment before we go to the next one? I think there's just two more.
But yeah, that's an absolute fact. Appreciate the comment.
Of course, yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
was
That was nice.
key target. All right, so the next
Agree.
comment, let me share.
Men don't need to learn how to lead. We're natural leaders. It's something that's intrinsic. It's something that's instinctual. We don't. It's not something that's taught to us.
But women are natural followers.
Yes, but you're following. You already got something. You're already following the status quo. You're following the government. You're following the societal standards. You're following the church. You're already following somebody.
Too.
Because it's not like women aren't following anybody. They're just not following men. They're men. The men in their lives that have their best interests in heart.
We might not, because so a lot of us don't even have a man, but we all know, and I've talked about this before, that society, men are the ones who built society. So to a certain extent, we have to look to a man, right? I'm not going to change my own tire. I'm not going to fix my own car. Right? I'm not going to build my own house. I'm not going to pave the streets. Men do that. And I don't have to
Right.
follow men. I don't have to follow a man in order for him to be a man, especially if he's not my man.
Well, I think that's
It's a little off base, but it's okay. We'll move
yeah.
on.
Shut up! I didn't want to say it. Couldn't find the words, but I think that you're giving your power and authority away again. No face. that I think men have more power and authority than they give themselves credit for. I think that
When we try to enforce that power, we're looked to as like the perception of what NoFace is. That's what the perception that people give them. Like
well,
you're,
how
Well,
you
because no
are.
face, you don't lead in love anyway.
but
So
it's not about leading in love. You're not the one that you're following is not leading in love either. So I shouldn't be
They're
held to a standard of leading in what your perception of love is.
you said the one that I'm following.
Who's the one that you're following? Are they leading in love?
I don't have a man.
No, I'm talking about. But you're
whatever you're
following something.
church. Um,
Oh, yeah, I have a
they're
relationship with God
leading
for
in.
sure. Yeah.
But I'm saying, but beyond the fact, even though I do disagree that you're saying when you say that I'm not leading in love, but why do I need to be qualified in order to be acknowledged as a a leader, or somebody that deserves or is worthy of being followed? I'm saying I'm not leading in love because I'm not speaking sweet to you or whatever, or whatever the reason that you say that I'm
What
not
is
leading in love is.
your style?
Huh?
What is your? I'm asking No Face. What is your leadership style? Oh, Gina. Gina posed a decent question. Is Megan good? Not following Jonathan Majors?
I guess that was a question for me, which I wouldn't know because I focus on. I'm I'm like I'm my plate is full just dealing with my own life. I can't I don't know what she's I don't know who Megan I know who Megan Love and I know who Jonathan Majors are. I didn't know that they were in a relationship and I don't know the dynamics of that relationship.
Okay. Okay. Well, come with somebody else, Gina. Um. So, E, do you? We lost you for a minute, but do you have any?
Megan Good is fine too. At least at one point I used to be a big fan of hers.
Okay, yeah, she looks hella good.
Them
But
lips
she's
though.
married and got a divorce.
Huh? Did she get who was she married to?
She's married to Jonathan Majors now. She got a
No,
divorce
Oh.
from
we're
her.
talking about before him.
Yeah,
Oh
she
yeah, yeah.
got a divorce from her ex-husband. Her ex-husband, who was a pastor, so she was following
Come
something.
on, me. She was
Before.
following the money is what she was doing.
Oh, shut up!
Come
And
on
she's
now.
still following.
I'm pretty sure Megan Good had just as much as money as he did. I don't think he had more money than Megan.
No
Who?
bullshit.
The
Money.
pastor?
There's
Yeah.
no fucking
People
way.
don't be having money like that, especially actors. She probably didn't have it like that.
Oh, you don't think?
No, okay. No, I don't even know nothing about it, but I can say with a lot of confidence that he had and made more money than her.
I don't know about that either, though, because
And
I didn't.
it's not like these women actresses are like she's not Will Smith, she's not Leo, she's not
Yeah, we're
Johnny
talking about
Depp.
her ex-husband, Devon Franklin, and I hadn't even heard of him until they got married. So I don't
So
know if
that,
he was
I'm
really
pretty
making
sure
money
Megan had
like
her own money.
but I'm sure he was though because she was a 6 figure to a 7 figure woman, so he was more than that.
that. Oh, what you
That's a
mean?
blanket statement. That's a stereotype,
Is that what
but
you're
I
saying?
bet you're right. Say it again.
You're saying she wasn't going to choose anything less than a six-figure man?
She wasn't going to choose anything equal or less than her financially.
But you don't even know that if he
They
had more
say
money than
Jonathan
her or not.
Major.
You don't even know that.
Right. That's another stupid
I don't know. I have
stereotype.
to know that because I know how women operate.
Why do you say that you don't have to know things in order to know them? Like I mean, you be talking about.
I don't have to research and I don't have to verify it to know that it's true. Now you can do that now and
You don't have
I
to
don't think
verify
you can
something to know
prove
that
what
it's
you
true.
just said. It's not true though.
I'm saying I'm going out on a limb right now.
Okay. What you
And if
saying?
I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong about what I'm saying, then I'll be discrediting myself. But I'm telling you, I'm not wrong. And then you can prove to me, or anybody listening can prove to me that that man made less than she. He already had less status. You're telling me that he had less status and money than her, and she still married him? I think not.
So Nicki Minaj didn't do that either?
With Safari?
No.
With who?
Married Safari. She's married to Ken Teddy.
Who's that? Who's that?
Exactly. There you go. Prove my
But
point.
I'm saying just because they're not famous doesn't mean they don't have more money than them.
No, he don't. He don't. He don't.
Even if he
Women
did,
don't
even
just
if
go
he had
after the
money,
money. That's just
the
what
point
you
that I'm
think.
making is that Megan Good has her own money.
The point that I'm making, Megan, the point that I'm making is that women don't just follow the money. That's not always okay. Gina got some stats for it. Look, we didn't even have to do it. Megan Good's net worth was 15 million. Devon Franklin at the time was at 7 million. That's surprising. He is now at 10 and she's at 20 million. Okay. Okay, Gina, thank you for the stats.
Will you
That's
will you admit you was wrong?
Nope, hell no.
Because you never do.
because because that I mean, okay, even okay, I'll I will pretend I'll pretend like that I believe that, you know.
and
No,
If
but
that
you
is truly the case,
understand that when you like
that
pull
doesn't
things out of the like your so-called facts, they just come like out of the sky.
no they don't. Oh, okay. I don't believe it. Okay, she said Megan's net worth was 15. Devin Franklin at the time was 7. He's not at 10. Well, shit. He's not at 10, even if that was true. Well, and she's at 20. Of course, how much money did she make off of him? You know? I'm sure a lot. Did they have kids? I'm sure he's paying alimony.
No.
probably alimony. I don't know. I don't know the details. I don't
And I'm
know
sure
if
he invests. I'm sure he makes investments. I'm sure he makes investments. I know she doesn't.
How do
excuse
you know that? Are you psychic or what?
what do you mean by that though?
Let's just move on because it's going to make me.
Oh wait, now
Nicole was about to ask me something.
Gina Gina
Okay, Brittany
I
Renner
didn't know
not
about
following Kevin Gates.
this situation. I
Look,
didn't even know about
man, Gina going crazy right now. She should just hop on.
Gina. I know. Do y'all know about Renner and Kevin Gates as a
Not
couple?
bad. But I appreciate Gina
I
being
thought
able
that he
to
had got back
look
with his
stuff up, though. That was good.
other girl
Hell
that
yeah.
he was with.
What'd you say, Unique?
I thought that he was back with his original girlfriend from like
Oh,
back in the day.
I did not know.
I don't know who Brittany Renner
I
is.
thought Brittany Renner was Muslim. Why am I gotta?
The feedback. That's the feedback from E. You need to tighten that up. But so with Brittany Renner not following it, Kevin Gates, I don't know too much about that, but I just know that Kevin Gates ought to be followed by Brittany Renner. Kevin Gates is he's a powerful man, you know. With that,
Was he?
outside of it, say it again.
Was he always?
I think he always was. Um, but I think that he has definitely multiplied, and he's a real smart dude. He's real spiritually in tune, and he's very attractive to women. The way in because he's so honest and he's so secure within himself, and he's I can just see a guy like I can see when I see him on video. I know he's that kind of dude. I know his kind,
A lot of dudes I feel like are that kind of dude. I really
So
uh,
sorry, Unique, but I was
and he
gonna
gives so
say,
much grace to women. He really like has a better relationship with the idea of of women than let's say a person like NoFace, for instance.
well, I was gonna say,
He has a high reverence, and he treats them really well, and he speaks high of them.
do you think they give him all the hell your women give you?
Um, Probably I think so, but I think he deals with it. He deals with it in a different way. He has a different he taps into a different form of his power than I do.
Which would be
I'm not sure because it's so different. I can just see how he moves, and then the way that he articulates himself. He's never combative, and he's always puts he's more mature. He's more mature than I am for sure, and how he deals with it and how he projects himself.
so you're saying. So I'm asking, is that maturity going? Is it gonna play out the same way that your situations? Would he be able to be with a wildebeest, or would a wildebeest be able to get away with
Well, we're
the?
different. We're completely different people. Like he's got way more access and way higher status than I do.
Well, I'm trying to get to a point though. That's why I said, was he? Did he always talk like that? because I'm talking about before the money, before the fame. Do you think he is the type of man that always held himself in that type of way that would be a leader in a leader way?
I don't know if he did always did. I don't know. But I just know the way that he is now. He's really calm. He's really gracious. He's really thoughtful in what he says, and he carries himself very well. And he's very infectious, and he has a lot of gravity, and he's a very attractive. I can tell he's not only attractive to in a non-sexual way. I know that he's also going to be attractive in a sexual way when it comes to women. And I seen how Renner melted when she was in his presence too. So
I seen her melt in Charleston
Cause
White's
you attract
presence.
more
You
bees
can't
with
be
no,
serious.
not in the same way. Not in the same way. She was on that whole shit. She was on that stripper vibes, that different type of vibe. She wanted to jump in his arms and for him to carry her off into the sunset type melting when it came to the Kevin Gates.
So you have seen them together.
No, I seen an interview. I seen her interview him one time. I didn't know that they were together though.
Renner, Brittany Renner. Before Brittany Renner turned Muslim, she was the talk of the town for
who that is.
like hooking up with these young football players and
You see, like I would never. If I was him, I would never associate myself with him. But he
well,
gives more grace, and he's seeing her as more of a person because he has a personal relationship, it has personal exchanges also. But for me, I see her as an image that's being portrayed to regular people like myself. So I
mm,
would never have anything positive to say about her and the types of ideas that she's put out into the stratosphere, the internet stratosphere, and I think it's all bad. But I think that she's a good person. I think she's a really smart person too, and I
you
think
have
she's
a
a
pretty
really
boy. All it takes is a pretty woman and a hug and everything you just said
yeah.
to Kevin Gates. That's all it takes for you to forget everything else. This is why you get the trouble that you get.
No, but he knows her. He knows her as a person. I don't.
Okay. Well, I was just making my point that
My bad. I'm sorry.
it's kind of like Unique had said. It's kind of like it's what you're picking, and then you pick a certain type of woman, then you complain about it after the fact.
Yeah, your picker's broken.
It's not broken.
Yeah,
They're picking exactly what they want.
Well, I'm just saying I mean, metaphorically.
It's not broken. All right, let's look at the next.
I will say before we go to the comment that
Yeah.
when I pick nobody, then
Maybe it's
that's a
not what
problem
they
too
want,
because
but
Well,
it's
maybe you
the
should pick
potential that
nobody.
they see
You just
inside
like
of them.
both.
yeah. But
Wait, wait, well,
but
uh,
when I exercise that discretion and I choose nobody, then that's used against me too. Because it's like,
it's
well,
not.
you don't even got a girl, so that's you use that as a disqualifier. So I can't win for winning or lose for losing or win for losing or whatever.
I don't know if anybody threw that out there because Unique clearly said that she's single, so she can't even speak on half of the stuff. Nobody's throwing that out there as a disqualifier. A lot of guys are choosing to not deal with anybody. A lot of women are choosing that. That's why we having these discussions because people. They say people need people.
Yeah.
People who need people. All right, so
Everybody needs somebody.
hey, to love. All right, so at Jason Goodman 3546 says, "Thank you for your efforts, guys. Men lack fathers to lead them. Without a Mufasa, the circle of life is broken." Rafiki. Ooh. All right, guys.
I'll
Comment?
guess I'll start with that. Once again, I don't know any of these people, but they're like they haven't missed yet. That's a fact too.
That is it.
Yeah, because when you don't have appropriate leadership as a man,
Mm-hmm.
man, and it's a Lion King reference too. And I use those as much as I possibly can. Yeah, that was dead on too. Those are facts, facts only.
Yeah, that was good shit. Thank you, Jason Goodman 356.
But the narrative, but I would like to also say
Okay.
the narrative that it's the men's fault because they've chosen to abandon their families is not fair to it's not a fair conclusion to why we're in the state that we're in.
Well, it's not 100% fair, but it's it's not 100% fair the other way. There's different circumstances in each case, in everybody's case. So men
Yeah,
are behaving poorly, women are behaving poorly, and then just imagine the both of y'all together. It's two people behaving poorly who ain't learned no better.
yeah, and but my whole thing, and this is where we've gotten caught up in the past before too, as far as like hitting that stalemate where we're agreeing to disagree essentially, is that it's the only the women have to change their ways and their streams of thinking in order for us to be eligible to prosper through to the next stage, which is just being which is we have a long ways to go. But until we get out of this terrible state that we're in, women are going to have to take a leap of faith and acknowledge they're going to have to change the way that they've been wired to operate, because they're the most important weapon that's been used against us, but they also could be the most important weapon that we could use to get us out of this war, this spiritual war, and this third dimensional war as well. And until we have our until we retain the loyalty and the backing of our women, we're gonna stay in this state that we're in.
True, true that. And the what would help um, is knowing more of what you can do to make that happen too, because it's kind of
We can't do nothing to make it happen. It's all in the head.
like if it's black people asking white people, hey, give us a boost, put us on your level, like we can't do this, we can't get ahead unless you give us you put us in the game, other way we can't maneuver.
Was there something that I just said that insinuated that?
Yes, everything that you just said insinuated that. You said the women have to let you
He wants to do
I never said the women have to let us. I said the women ne-
right,
the
that
I
wow,
said the
some
women
work.
need I said that the women need to change the ways of their ways in order for us to be able to get out of what us as people get out of what we're dealing with right now. There's nothing that a man can do except for run campaigns, I guess.
Keep talking about it.
Which that's what I'm doing.
Well,
But it's
I
not. There's no in no way, shape, or form am I suggesting that I'm asking white people to throw us a bone, because we know that's not going to happen.
well, I mean, it's kind of like it's still giving. It's true. Women do have to change their ways for it to happen, but they're not just going to change their ways by you telling them they need to change their ways. You know, you have to have the hand in making that their ways change. You have to become the Kevin Gates without the status or the money. You don't have
Kevin
to.
Gates is not going to save us though. Kevin Gates ain't putting nothing out there like that. That's
I
gonna
don't
set.
know if that was my point.
No, I'm saying like there's nothing that you can't follow. You can't follow the Kevin Gates model and get out of it. That's not what it is. Kevin
No,
Gates is a Kevin
leader
Gates is a
said he was a leader. I'm just trying to get examples of men that you see as leaders that women are following, and maybe if other men move like that man, it gets somewhere. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but that's the thing. We need we need women to be able to follow regular men too, not just the Kevin Gates of the world, because he's not going to have no problems with getting women to follow him.
Right. I want a Kevin Gates example without it being Kevin Gates.
Yeah, without it being Kevin Gates. Yeah,
Yeah, like there are those examples. I can think of one in my head that I know personally. If I took time, I could probably think of more than one. These are just regular men
Well,
who
I see couples all the time.
that handle their households, and the woman's not a wildebeest. They have disagreements, I'm
They're just
sure.
normal people.
Or shit happens in their relationship, but it ain't what you're describing.
Yeah, it's just normal.
Yeah, it's a really yeah. I don't know exactly the way what the way I'm absorbing that, and the question that you're asking is like it's a way too sophisticated answer for me to for me to put in words in this moment. And it's a way it'll be sound ridiculous if I were to specifically lay out what I feel like women need to do in order for that to happen.
I don't want you. You already said what women need to do. We need to change our attitudes. I'm saying lay out what men need.
No, really, they women need to change where their loyalty lies and
Okay.
which whose agenda they're fulfilling.
Okay. Explain.
That's what I'm saying. It's going to be a sophisticated answer.
Oh, you didn't want to go that deep. Okay,
Yeah,
I got you. But it's. I mean, a summary is like it's the system. It's the system
yeah,
that you are loyal to instead of your man. Is what you're.
right. Because the first step would be to get women to acknowledge and realize that their loyalty where their loyalty is lying, and
Hmm.
the whose agenda they're serving. And we haven't got to that point yet.
That kind of reminds me of the Kanye conversation when he
Yeah,
was
well,
talking
Kanye
about.
was touching upon a lot of things. He says a lot of things that go over a lot of people's heads because he's looking at things that are past the steps. He's skipping steps where people aren't even where people a lot of people aren't at yet.
Yeah, yeah. What he was saying definitely made me think of our direct conversations because when you say that the women are loyal to the system and not their man or their household, it's the same thing uh, Kanye was saying about Playboy Cardi and Pusha T and everybody who spoke out against him. He was the head of the household. He put them all on. And
Right.
soon as they needed somebody to speak out against Kanye, these very same people went against him and followed the system.
Yeah, on
And
some bitch ass nigga shit, and then that was kind of the words that he was using.
yeah, it paralleled our conversation and made me think that no face is not just women who do that. People do that. And
That's what
people
I've been
are
seeing.
manipulated by systems, by
Yeah, but we're talking about yeah, you're right about that too. But people aren't women are half of the population,
And men are the
right?
other.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm saying that
another comment. I gotta find that. Go ahead and finish your point.
so women are half of the population that men in a metaphysical way, men follow women. Uh,
Click on
so
that.
basically, women have a lot of power, and their power is being used against not just it's not about being used against men. It's about being used against all of us, both men and women. So
Mm-hmm.
their power is being weaponized against all of us,
Mm-hmm.
and we're all suffering because of it. Under the false illusion that it's what's in her best interest. Because the people that really run shit, they understand that a man will sacrifice his happiness for his family, and a woman will sacrifice her family for her happiness. So if she doesn't correlate her family with her happiness, then that's an easy way to break the family up. And since she's being incentivized
Because
by the
you're talking
system,
about like the feminist movement type of thing. Are you kind of
the feminism has yeah, it's been
where it's like
used.
women want to be equal with men?
I mean, women have always. It depends on how you're measuring it, but women have always been equal with men. They just didn't have make equal money in the job in the workforce.
No, but I'm saying that there's a actual movement, right? There's a I mean I don't know that much about it, but the whole feminist movement, right? Because they're actually they're because and men are a part of this too because I've heard several men say that they're actually a feminist, right? You got the
Right.
dad, right, where the mom in the household where the mom goes out and works and he stays there with the kids. You know,
Well, that's we call there's a different word for that. I don't think it's feminist.
no, but I'm saying that they're in the feminist movement, right? It's a majority of women, right? But is led by women, but there are men that are in it. But they're the type of women, right? They don't really believe that they need to be, the whole traditional thing, right? They don't feel like they
Yeah.
need to necessarily have children or be at home barefoot and pregnant,
Right.
things like that. And they're like independent. They can be
Yeah.
independent. Man, they basically like, I don't need a man.
Right. So yeah, I agree. It is that narrative, and then that movement specifically was a big weapon that was used against the mind of the woman and the structure of the household. Yeah.
Yeah, what?
And I think that it was created to do a disservice, and I think that it executed what it was created to do.
Yeah, but not all.
Definitely.
I mean, not all men and women are like that. But I know that movement does exist. But you even said it yourself. You said that in a certain sense, right? On some level, men follow women. Men want to be follow women. I guess.
Yeah, men. So basically, to be more specific, like men are going to shape or at least present themselves to have ideas um, that is going to be viewed as acceptable to women in order for them to feel comfortable with them in their space. You know. So if a woman presses a hard line and says, "I need a man that's going to be God fearing and that's a feminist," then and if that was and if that's something that was echoed by the majority of women, then men are going to bend to that.
Do you feel like the majority of women are have like a feminist mindset, or do you
Yeah, of
feel like
course.
well,
Yes.
you feel like that's the dominant attitude?
No, I think that yes, the majority of women have have taken on that mindset, and it's become the status quo. So if they don't, they would have to like really have a battle within themselves to come to that conclusion. If they just go with the natural flow, then that's what they're going to come to. So the overwhelming majority of women, especially in the Western world, and more specifically in our country, have that feeling that they don't need a man. A man, they can do just for them as much for themselves as a man can do. Therefore, a man doesn't deserve their leadership, and they don't want to give up any authority to a man that's in their life in a romantic way. You know,
Like they want to be dominant over him.
no, they want to. It turns into that once it turns into that, but that's not really the mindset. The mindset is that they're equal to him. So if he says something, if he has to listen to her just as much as she has to listen to him.
Right.
But it does subconsciously
Look
turn
at what
into
Gina
that
has to
when
say.
Huh?
I said, Gina said the stats say that 40% of men in the U.S. identify as a feminist. The stats also say 61% of women identify as a feminist. I personally do not.
I
yeah,
don't either. I don't either.
well, those
But
are pretty high numbers
Neither
both
do I.
ways.
thanks, Gina. Yeah. Yeah, and I because and it's it's a very slippery slope once you start going down that way because right if you're a woman right and you feel like you're equal right and then it gets to a certain level where you're dominant and then like it's like you want the man or you like for men to be feminine, you don't really like the masculine because then they start throwing that toxic masculinity thing around you
Yeah,
know uh,
they want their cake and to eat it too. They like the dominant man. They like
and
the
I also
masculine aspect of him, but they don't want to they don't want to sacrifice the part when he's trying to assert his dominance over you, pertaining to
so
leadership or ideas or perspectives or whatever. You know.
yeah, and that was pretty good, that point that Gina brought up because I feel like, and I'm not, don't fly off the handle, right? A lot of the women that these men are attracted to, they have a feminist mindset. You don't even really like traditional women. Those are not the women you actually pick. You actually like the feminine, the feminist woman who has that mindset, and that's what you get.
Yeah, I
In a
think
lot of cases, yeah.
I think you said it. Either I heard it backwards, or but I think you were what you were saying was that men are attracted to more masculine women.
No.
Yes,
Is that
but
what you
well,
were saying?
if you want to
You're
put it,
saying that
I mean, you can put it like that.
That's not what I thought. What do you think she was
Yeah.
saying? What do you
What were you saying,
just
Unique?
What I said was, remember, George put the stats up there, right? There's a
Gina.
in the culture, there the women, right, that you guys pick that you're attracted to. They have a feminist mindset. They don't feel like you. They need to follow you. They maybe want to be with you, but they don't. They don't have a traditional mindset that you're masculine and you're their leader. They feel like
Yeah.
they're a leader too.
Yeah, and plus, like with a stat like that, because the definition of feminism is the idea that men and women are equal to each other, and the pursuit of obtaining such equality. Yeah, period. I guess put a
well, you
period at the end of that.
said that men and
So
women
if
are
when they lay
equal.
it out that way, then everybody would
technically,
identify as
yeah.
a
I guess
feminist.
I'm a feminist too because I believe all
Yeah,
people are equal.
if that was true, if that was what it really was, but when you
It's really
really like,
like trying to make it seem like feminism isn't about making them equal to men. It's about making them higher than men.
yeah, well, that's what it ultimately turned into. What
Yeah.
I feel it turned into, and that's why 40% and 60% of the genders respectively don't identify as such.
But the
Because
thing
if it was,
about it is, I want to make another point about the whole leadership thing, right? Because you feel like women should follow men, right? If I'm following you, we are not equal. You're the leader. I'm the
yeah,
follower.
but yeah, when it comes to but when it comes to who has the authority and who has the final say, and who is the third dimensional decision maker, then
That doesn't
yeah,
determine your equality.
that doesn't determine your value though, because we still have equal
I'll give you
value.
an example. I'll give you an example. Say you and your girlfriend or your wife or whatever, y'all arguing about something, right? Um, I feel like we should get these rims on the car. And you're telling your girlfriend that, and she says, well, I don't like those rims, right? Oh, babe, I know you don't like the rims. This is the kind of money that we have. This is what we have to work with. So these are the rims that we're getting, right? You make the final decision. I understand what you're saying, and I acknowledge your feelings, but these are the rims that we're getting. Well, you guys agree. You say, "Oh, babe, okay, I'll get the rims for you,"
Yeah,
and that's all it takes. Boom, she got you right there.
right. So I think that you were making a point though. What was the point that you were making?
Point that I'm making is that
You guys don't stand on your leadership. You succumb to
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what you succumb to. Keep it
because you
real.
want to get some nookie tonight, you say, "Oh, babe," she's gonna.
Maybe, maybe, but really,
Is what
Because
y'all never
for the most
this
part,
will end up happening. So then, if you stand on it, right, and then she'd be like, "I'm not giving you nothing. Don't touch me."
yeah, yeah.
Coach,
But
you
that's
put it.
also that also could be a microcosm of what what is the ultimately what is laid upon the relationship is that she ultimately has the power, because if you don't make her happy, then
But
she
that's
could
the point
take.
I'm making. You give her the power in those little circumstances and situations like that. Very intuitive. See, our antenna. You guys may be like masculinely
We're
feminine.
not.
Our intuition, right? So when y'all
See,
are
I think you're giving too much credit though. I think
when
you're
y'all
Yeah,
giving too much credit.
are
I think you are too.
Yeah,
huh?
But we didn't
because
have
I
any
wouldn't
judgment.
do that. I don't think men should do that, but I think there's a reason why they do that, because you don't want to upset the woman.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Because look at the rules. Look at the rules. Because she could, if she's upset, she could deny you of access to her body. And if we were playing by the rules of normal society, then she has all the rights to do that, and you still can't. And you have to be monogamous, so that she automatically controls your entire sex life.
Where
And then
does
it
that? from?
What do you
You
mean?
have to be monogamous. When did you throw that in there?
Well, that's what the status quo is.
Yeah, but we're I know you're talking about the status quo, but we're talking about when you are in a relationship with somebody
Because a
before you
woman would never,
grow
if
up.
that wasn't the case, a woman would never be like, nope, you're not getting none tonight. Like, bitch, yes I am. It might not be from you, but fuck around and find out.
Right. So
So
you
the
would
all the
think that
rules,
the first time she tried to use it, wouldn't you? Or no?
but men aren't. It's not appropriate for men to play that card. You know what I'm saying? So if a man is just listening to what the rules are, the blueprint for being a good man, then yeah, he's going to ultimately be under her control, no matter how it manifests in the third dimension. He's
Well,
being
neither party
compromised from
should
the
ever
jump.
be denying each other their body unless there's a medical reason.
I like that.
Yeah,
You
that-
say that again?
Neither party should be denying each other physically unless there's a medical reason.
But I know you thinking, I know you getting that from the Bible, and that's in a marriage.
right.
Well, yeah, of course. In a marriage, yeah.
Yeah, but if
Yeah.
y'all not married, you don't necessarily technically owe him nothing.
Right.
No.
And if you're gonna use that, and if that's what if that's how if she's gonna leverage her power against you, that's a red flag right there.
Why is she
So there's
using
a
that though? I don't even know how we got there,
well
but
that
why
well because Nicole said the reason well
Nicole?
I mean I'm sorry you're Nicole. Unique said that because he's scared that he might not get no nookie that night. And I agree. Like that is probably a big reason why you see women manipulate, or maybe he just wants to make her happy, and he identified that it really means a lot to her, and it's gonna make her happier than it's gonna set me back in my mind or whatever. There's a lot of little nuances and differences that different reasons why that could be.
Right.
But
But you have to
ultimately, the woman,
know. You have to learn how to put your foot down and say,
yeah, but
understand how you feel, but I'm the
yeah,
I'm the head of this. You know, I'm the leader.
You got to do it
I'm here
before
to
you're the
Remember
leader.
when we talked
That's
about
the point.
No
They're
Face when I
waiting too
slammed the
long.
table?
Wait,
when you
what?
slam the table,
Yeah, at the
oh well,
pizza
yeah, when you
place.
hit the table, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this is what this is reminding me of right now.
Yeah, yeah, but when you do that, like that's what I'm saying. That's why we had a show and I was saying why you should never listen to women because if you listen to them, they'll lead you straight to another trap. You know what I mean? Because they're not the ones that's really navigating this landmine. You know?
or
well, if
or
that's how you feel, why you can't put your foot down then? If that's how you feel.
Well, that was the what we were well, that's what we're touching on.
I
Like
was
when you
saying
do,
how she doesn't actually, she gets in this cycle or habit where she just, she just continues to not behave appropriately, and then I have to put my foot down, like you say, and
Mhm.
then it works for a little bit, and then and then it doesn't work anymore.
yeah, because
And
unfortunately, you waited too late to put your foot down.
you see how it always comes back to why it's how it's
Yes,
your fault
but
though.
so it's my fault for
okay,
not
you
putting my foot
gotta.
down quick
No,
enough.
it's always your fault, dog. Don't. It's
Okay,
always gonna be come back to
okay.
your fault.
There has to be a solution, right? So if you were telling the next guy,
But you never say that. You won't say that at the beginning. You'll say, "I'm sorry to cut you off, Nico. I really am." But you won't say that at the beginning. You'll say, "Well, this is how you get a woman. You talk nice to her. You open her door. You worship the ground that she walks on,
that's not what
and
I would.
then
You don't know what I would say because guess what? You haven't let me say it. You're
you."
not giving
But
solutions.
I'm talking about. I wasn't. But I'm talking about more the status quo. You know.
Right. That's the problem. You're the status quo. You're creating the status quo that you hate so much. When you can change whatever you want to change.
Mhm.
You but you got to do it before it's out of control. I said that to E because when he spoke on his relationship, he said she was acting wild and crazy and he kind of liked it. It brought excitement. So he encouraged bad
I
behavior.
hated that he said that too, but he was being honest.
It's true because I've heard it from my brothers. You guys
Yeah.
do that. You create these monsters and then
'Cause
you
I told you I'm thinking forward when he's saying that. I'm like, oh yeah, you remember they're like the police. They're gonna use it against you later in the court of law. And here we are.
because I
And
heard
here
it
we are.
before. Because I heard it before, and I know that you guys encourage that. We see how you love your crazy ass wild ass sisters and shit like that. You mentioned how your sister is a what you call she with the shits. Maybe your girl trying to act like her. You guys encourage this shit in other people and in your women when you first get with them, and then it never stops. And you are basically setting the tone of your relationship all the way to the end. Now you have no control over this bitch.
Yeah, but then, yeah, I'm saying it's a little bit more sophisticated than that because we do.
All more sophisticated, but it also could be a little bit simpler. So you know when you meet the next one, soon as she does something that
Then
you
you
recognize,
tell her what I say, and then you guys say that I'm crazy and I'm abusive and all this
well,
stuff. But
because no, it's you're not putting honey on your spoon. You trying to
I
get
don't need to put honey on my spoon. I'm not trying to attract a bee. I'm trying to get a woman.
well,
I'm not trying to attack a bear that's going to steal my honey. I'm
well,
trying to.
but yelling at the woman ain't go get her.
Oh, that's a fact.
Just standing on your business and pushing your chest out ain't go get her. So
Oh
you
no,
got
that
to
okay.
from
Well,
here. But when she gets out of line, that's when you check her
Huh, say hey.
before she has any control or power in your life at all. That's when you stop it. That's what I was trying to tell you.
yeah, but eventually, if everything works well, then you will be signing off your power to her if everything works out the way that you both probably want, and that's with marriage and having children.
Yeah, but if you've already laid down the ground rules, you've already laid down the law. She ain't go follow your hand until she get married and then switch up. I know
She's
guys
not.
said, well, I know guys have said that, but again, maybe she was showing some bestiality before that.
Yeah,
And he
for
didn't
sure.
stop it, didn't check
Yeah,
it, nothing.
but yeah, yeah.
So
But
that's the
we still have to
accountability.
push our.
First, because you guys think it's cute at first.
But
Y'all love it. I think it's
we
real
still
cute.
have to push our. We still have to push our species forward. So it's never the
But,
solution. The
right.
solution is never to disengage from women completely or vice versa. That can never be the solution because then we'll go
That's what
extinct.
you're choosing, you said. And
No.
a lot of men are choosing not to even associate
Oh
with
yeah,
women.
yeah. That's what I am choosing. Yeah, right now. But I already have two children, so I did my part.
Right. You already contributed to
Yeah,
society. You're right. You're right about that. You did your part.
I already did my sacrifice.
Is that what you
I already
consider
put
it?
my neck on. Yeah, I already put my neck on the line. It got chopped. Got it chopped off too.
Chopped and screwed. It happens to the best of us. Um, all right, next comment. This is from Gina Ortiz. Let me be clear. I definitely agree with NoFace. A woman can crash out without a man doing anything at all. I don't know why I read that comment right now. That's just gonna spark up some more shit. So
No,
let's
it's
move
true.
to
Yeah,
next.
let me expect.
I've
We
been
know.
crashed out on without doing anything at all, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, the narrative is like, well, what did you do? It's like, well, first of all, well, I didn't say that I did anything. So I know I could be lying,
No.
but
but from the reaction, you'd expect there would be a provocative action in the first place.
yeah, 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 which
Since
is fair,
yeah,
Yeah.
which is fair, but still,
Oh, yeah, I like the way you said that. That was it.
but
Even
but yeah,
over my head
but
for a minute.
but it was like we're going past that and just marrying ourselves to the idea that okay, obviously you did do something, so why aren't you taking accountability for what you did? And then that's what kind of sparked like, but what did I do? And then that's where you say, well, you're not taking account because you're acting like you never did anything. But yeah,
Well, I
that's
think
where,
the
and that's
accountability.
that's manipulative as fuck
It's
too.
not. It's
I think
actually
that the accountability part comes in once, right? If something like that happens, there's a crash out for no apparent reason, and you choose to stay in that situation, you have to be accountable for the choice that you made because
at
you're
least
choosing,
for
Well,
that.
because we sacrifice our happiness for our family.
and you have to
So
be accountable for that.
I don't I have to be accountable for what I've been through, but I don't have to be accountable for what happened in this moment. I have to be accountable for what I signed up to go keep continue going through, and it wasn't like I was complaining throughout it. And it's not like I know E is talking about his stuff right now, but he don't complain about shit.
Hmm.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So the accountability, I am accountable, and I also take exception to women accusing me of not being accountable. I really feel like that's crazy work. It's like it's insane.
Oh my God. Next
It
comment.
applies to everybody, not just you. It just, I mean, it applies to everybody.
Society itself is weaponized against everyone in it. The gender
True,
war is just one layer of a much bigger divide and conquer strategy by the elites. That was
absolutely.
ridiculous. I can't even pronounce it. Recluse AU Herm. You guys, thank you, Recluse, for the comment. I can't
Yeah,
read some of these, pronounce some of these names.
You know,
But
yeah, that's that,
yeah, society, we're all weaponized against each other. What y'all think about that comment?
for sure. But
hmm.
we gotta give credit where credit is due, though,
Okay.
because especially black women, or I should say women, but especially black women,
No, speak what you, yeah.
hold a disproportionate amount of power compared to anybody else. To just if we say to Asian women, white women,
Wait a minute.
So,
Say that one more
because of the
time.
laws,
no, because of who they are
I missed
intrinsically,
the first part.
biologically.
You said black women are what?
explain that to us, okay? That went over our
Okay,
head.
let's say that. Okay, so let's say that. Sorry, I'll just use an example. We have
Okay.
there's weapons in this world, right? I'll give two weapons. The first weapon is a butter knife, and the next weapon is a dagger.
Hmm.
So I'm not going to say anybody else, but I'm saying the black woman is the dagger. She's has she is the most useful weapon when it comes to warfare, and this is what it is. He said gender war.
What weaponized? You mean again? And what do you mean in general? Like against the
Okay,
all?
so what I'm saying is, I'll back it up a little bit more.
Weapon.
What my point was that the black women are more powerful, so they therefore they have a they have more utility. So if they're
More
being
powerful than
weaponized
who? More
against,
powerful than who?
they're the most powerful woman on the planet.
Oh, I don't agree with that.
Well,
Oh,
because
he's
you
gonna
don't
talk
know
about that.
who you are, respectfully. So the most powerful woman on the planet is being weaponized against black men, the most powerful men on the planet. Therefore, she is the basic the one of the lieutenants, the high ranking soldiers for white supremacy. I never said that before on here, but that's why I feel. So it sounds like I'm just going in. I'm like, well, with great power it comes great responsibility and
Uh,
accountability.
if
Black
she
women are
knew,
weaponized by white supremacy
if
against
she
black.
knew or even thought of any of that, maybe she would be accountable. But maybe you got to break that down for us one day. Maybe you
Yeah,
got to
well,
show us our power first, and then we can know how we're being weaponized. But it's
well, if
also
I can't get can't get a person or group of people to understand and subscribe to a more basic realm of thinking, then I'm not going to go to the next level on them and try to, you know what I mean? You got to graduate grammar school
that
before you
makes
go into middle school, into high school, into college.
that's your leadership skill. We going back
I mean, Cole,
because
what do you think about that comment? You think that black women are the most powerful weapon by white?
never heard that before. No, no, hell no, not a weapon against black men. I think we protect our black men more than they realize
Oh my God.
and would love to
Because
admit.
that's insinuating that a woman or the black woman has more of an understanding than what black men have about what's really going on by saying that we understand we're protecting them more than they realize.
Well, because we do. I mean,
But you don't, because if I was to lay out how you're being weaponized against us and we went tit for tat for how you're protecting us, it would be a landslide victory for me.
well, but it would be the same way on the other side. There would not be no. I can make just as many points about men being weaponized against black women as you can about the opposite. So it's really just perspective. But really, we should be coming with what's going to fix it. If we know we being weaponized, if we
But
agree
we
to
don't know that we're being weaponized, so I can't get to the part where we fix it when you won't acknowledge that the first part that you're being weaponized. You
okay,
understand what?
I think it's more of
I'll
a thing where
acknowledge it.
they're being
I'll
weaponized
acknowledge it
against each
to
other.
a degree. You do explain the whole system. We are a part of this system that's weaponizing everybody against
Everybody.
each other. I agree to that, but I don't believe it's like fucking like the wardens, we watch it. We the wardens are. There's another word for it. Like
More like
the
a gatekeeper,
that's a word
like
too,
a
but
deputy, or you know.
yeah, it's not like we're not here to keep you niggas in line. We're not trying to keep you niggas in line for the system, for the white man. That's not our reason.
I know,
If
of
any
course
of
not.
it,
Because
well,
if you knew that that's what you were doing, you wouldn't do that. But what's
that
happening
that's
is,
what we're doing, then you should be able to direct us out of it, show us our put a mirror up. If you know this, there's something that you should be able to do to have a solution for it. There's
well,
no
I can't get to the solution until I can to convince said people that this is actually happening
You can't
and
give
how
someone a cure if they don't think they have a disease.
exactly. That's
oh, that,
beautiful.
that was beautiful. You be coming with some hitters, but I like the way I like the way he said that. So how do you let her know she has a disease?
Well, you don't say, well, I wouldn't say it directly to her because it's not her,
Okay.
but it's just how the women are moving in general and how
Hmm.
it is causing an adverse effect on the masses. So back to the comment from what the commenter said, it affects everybody, not just their
I'm about to
counterparts.
get biblical. I'm about to get biblical.
Let's not. Okay, well, that's fine, I suppose.
Because see, because I'm and
But
God
see,
knows.
this is what I want to say too, though. Before you used to get biblical, man, fuck what that Bible says, because the Bible was not meant to help. It. What the Bible's intentions and what my intentions are is complete opposite. So the Bible was being written by people that were trying to oppress the same people that are being oppressed right now. And what I'm trying to do is spark a fuse that can
Well,
ignite.
okay. So since you want to go there, so we won't even get biblical, where we talk about reality, right? Because you're talking about the dynamic between black men and black women, right? Because when I look out and see, when I see a lot of black men, Cole knows this, I know this. My own brother, his baby mamas, they're white and Mexican. What's
Yeah.
the race of your brother's baby mamas? They white, they Mexican.
Nah, they all black. My brothers? Oh no,
No,
I'm
I'm saying
tripping.
the women.
I'm tripping. My oldest brother he got half white kid.
And
Well,
I
there's a
know,
reason for that too,
well, that's what I'm saying. And so
I would love to know that reason.
you guys definitely date outside of your race more than we do.
right? And why is that?
Reason is
So
he's a
I would also
weaponized
say
against
that you guys are also used as a weapon against us as well. Because
I
y'all
mean, how that you're speaking for just yourself and your feelings and how that makes you feel
well, that's
individually. That doesn't
actually
affect
going
society.
outside of your race and benefiting another race. You were
Is it
talking
benefiting another race? I thought black men
about
wasn't shit.
a
How are we benefiting another race?
race.
nobody said black men wasn't shit. Nobody said that. I know me and Cole have never on even all these shows that we've made, we've never downed black men. We never said
Oh,
black.
come on, that's ridiculous. Now you never said it. You never said it directly like that, like the way I just said it.
No,
But
we've never
the
insinuated
So
anything.
insinuations go crazy.
We talking about you though. We're not talking about black men in general.
Well, yeah, but the
yeah.
reason the reason why that's happening though is
Of course,
because
you got an excuse for it. Of course, you got a justification for
no,
it.
I didn't say the excuse. I said the reason.
Oh, okay, go
It's
ahead.
not a justification. It's not a crime. I don't need to justify it. So yeah, it's not an excuse because I'm not apologizing for it, and it's not a justification because it's not a crime. I'm just telling you the reason why. And this is
Okay.
where the accountability comes in because it's not because black women aren't attractive physically. It's because their minds have been poisoned to the point where they're the most difficult to deal with, and they feel like they're entitled to the most desired man in the world. Whereas a white woman or a Mexican woman would feel privileged to she doesn't feel entitled. She feels privileged. Therefore, she treats that man better. She has a higher reverence and a higher respect level for that man. So when he experiences that, white men always start with black women, always. and then they go off into other other avenues because and then they realize the treatment, the disproportionate treatment they're getting, and they stay there. And it's not a indictment against black women. It's the indictment against the conditioning, and another example of why the way that black women are thinking and operating is counterproductive to their prosperity, along with all of us, all of ours as well. And that's where it starts with making the woman realize it's not good for her.
I don't think that I
Right.
don't think that that's the reason, but go
I
ahead.
think that was a great point.
But you don't have a better reason though. You just think, why? What do you think?
I mean, because
It's
if you
because he's being weaponized. He wants us to feel bad because he's jealous of us. It's not. No, there's you don't have no logical reason that actually makes sense.
I wanted to say that was a great.
first of all, I feel like I make a lot of sense, but see, the dynamic between men and women, right? And we took this all the way back to slavery because you don't like to get biblical, so we're just talking about slavery. See, you guys think you guys think when you go to another race that you're getting a trophy.
I don't
You
believe
think
that.
I have what the master has.
But we always had that.
But with women, talking about back in slavery, black women, right? We were being raped by the master.
Mm,
We were being taken out in the back.
mm.
So
And still to this day, you're still
obviously
getting raped by the master and still loving him and still holding your allegiance to him.
you guys do too because you want to be just like him.
Mm.
Don't want to be nothing like black men. Don't want to be nothing like
Every time
white men.
if all the jobs that I've had, you always see black men kissing up in a white man's ass. Oh my
All the
master,
time.
you see it all the
But
time.
and how many of those black men do you fuck with? Do you look at like you want to fuck with them?
Well, I can't because they're all white women.
Yeah. Well.
So I
Okay.
was gonna say that was a great point, but it's completely thought out, one sided. Um, but I like the idea of it in a way, and some of it.
Well, okay. I'm gonna ask you to elaborate. What did you just say? It's completely thought out, one sided.
Yeah, I mean,
What do you mean by that?
it was well said. I'm gonna say that. I think it was well said, but it's still pointing the just completely just pointing the finger at black women when
I
we can
clearly did it. I clearly
when,
made a conscious effort to not blame the black
well,
woman.
okay, look, I don't see how your whole statement was about how she runs him away when you can see examples, especially nowadays, of white women acting a damn fool too. You can see examples. Them niggas leave white women now. You know, you can see all of these examples. The ones that you build up and talk up, you they end up in the same position as the ones that you're talking bad about. So
Yeah.
like just go to the Kanye situation. Just mention Kanye again, just how he, built up Kim Kardashian and spoke so highly of her and nobody could understand it. Now because he was done with black women and he probably it looks like he still is. But now he's talking crazy about the white woman. Now
Well,
she's the devil.
well, well,
Right.
well.
Because there's no way that I never even said. I just said that she feels privileged. I never said that she has a higher capacity or that she's a better option. Because once that white woman gets that leverage, she gonna act the same way.
I don't know how
The
white
same way.
they feel
Once you
privileged.
give her,
Um,
once you put a baby in her, and once you marry her, she gonna be crashing out too. And with E specifically, he's with a white woman, and she's crashing out. So I never was under the impression that that was only a thing that black women engage in.
the
Well,
problem is that it's still just fighting amongst each other. It's like it's still just labeling one group of people as something and labeling another group of people as something. It's still not seeing individual situations and individual people as they are and as they come. If you just
Yeah,
label
because
all
because if we did that, then we would have to we would have to not acknowledge the system and the propaganda and the the basically the machine that is that is manifesting this, that is creating these things. So if we just act like we're just all individuals, we're all different, then we'd have to not acknowledge the true enemy that is perpetuating these things as something that we should be doing, that is causing chaos, destruction, and
But by you pointing out this true enemy and basically calling her a black woman, you're falling into the hands of what the system wants.
what should I call her?
No
Or
face.
you
Are
said
your
call?
baby moms, are they black?
Say it again.
Your baby mothers, the women you made babies with,
He
are they
got
black?
one baby mama, and
That's why.
yes,
That's why I asked her to repeat, because you said I have baby mothers.
Well,
he got
I
one.
don't know.
He got
Why
two
would you?
kids, one baby mama.
Yeah. Why
Oh,
would you assume? Why would you assume that?
But yeah, he messes with black women.
oh,
Yeah,
okay.
only
He did.
Just checking.
Yeah.
because let me tell you, I messed with one white girl one time, and I felt like I was disrespecting myself and my ancestors.
Don't disrespect.
I was like 15. This is just a feeling that I had. I
See,
feel like she wasn't worthy of what I was giving her in that moment. You know what I mean?
you are too
What?
much.
It
You
was
just
crazy work. It was crazy
yeah,
work.
it is. It's hella crazy work. You just think you just too good for everybody. It sounds like.
No, not no. I didn't see what I'm saying. Like, no, I just said.
But
No,
face, don't get the pins in them. And
no,
I'm
no. I
sorry.
love black. I love black women. I hate what's been done to them.
Yeah, I hate what's been done to us too.
Yeah,
Yep, I agree. That was all the comments, and you guys, we have been on for an hour and 20 minutes, and
yeah. But before you shut it down, I want to hear if he has anything else to say. I know he's been listening and
I'm gonna ask
absorbing things.
final thoughts, final comments. E hasn't spoken much. E, do you have any final points?
Um, I guess my final point would be that everybody needs grace.
I like that.
Is that it?
That's it, man.
That's
That's a
good.
Everybody
fact,
needs
though.
grace.
That's a fact, though. That's a fact. We
Thank
all
you.
need grace. We all need to give each other grace too.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good one to end on. We all need grace. I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate all the guests. Thank you guys for joining. We are out of here. Good night.
Peace
Peace.
out. Appreciate
Good
all
night.
y'all, man. It was awesome.